Aloha class. So 11-1, we're identifying the relevant costs, right? So relevant costs do not change between alternatives. So if it's going to remain exactly the same, whether you increase or whether you buy a machine or not, and everything else stays the same, then it's not relevant, right? So we're only identifying things that change between two alternatives, and so we will not consider the things that stay constant because they're not relevant. Maybe that'll make more sense as we go through it. But anyway, so this is a Swedish manufacturer of sailing yachts. And copy the information above into your answer sheet. So you should copy this into an Excel sheet. Probably shouldn't write on your textbook, but for me it's probably easier just to put X's on my PDF and show you. So the company chronically has no idle capacity. The old model B100 machine is the company's constraint. Management's considering purchasing model B300 machine to use in addition to the company's present model B100 machine. The old B100 machine will continue to be used to capacity as before, with the new model B300 machine being used to expand production. This will increase the company's production and sales. The increase in volume will be large enough to require increase in fixed selling expenses and in general administrative overhead, but not in fixed manufacturing overhead. So that's key there. Not in fixed manufacturing overhead. That's not going to cause an increase. It's going to be the same. So whatever stays the same. So fixed manufacturing overhead, I would say that would be not relevant over here. And I could put not relevant because it's going to stay the same no matter what, if I buy this B300 or if I don't. It said it's going to increase capacity, and also that would increase volume. So they're going to be making more sales revenue if they have more to sell. They're going to need more direct materials. They have more capacity, and they're going to need more direct labor, right? So just because we're producing more units, we're going to need more direct labor. We're going to need more variable manufacturing overhead. These are all relevant if you're going to change the number of items you're producing. And depreciation of model B100 of the machine. So depreciation is not relevant for model B100 because because we've already paid for this machine, and the textbook says, you know, you paid for the machine, just an allocation of expense over time, and so the depreciation on this is not a relevant factor. You will allocate that expense. You'll continue to allocate that expense over time. Man, how do I move this? Maybe I'll just make a new one. Okay. Yeah, so depreciation is not relevant because you've already bought it, you know, and it's just an expense over time no matter what you do. Book value is also not relevant because you bought it a while ago. So not relevant. Disposal value, they said you're going to use it in tandem with the B300. So you're not getting rid of it, so that's not relevant either. The market value, you are thinking about purchasing it, that's a relevant cost. Variable selling expense, what did they say about selling expenses again? Increase in volume will be large enough to increase in fixed selling expenses. So definitely fixed selling expenses. I would think variable would be tied to the number of production, right, and would also be relevant, right, if you're increasing the volume. Like if you're increasing the volume and you're paying your salespeople a certain percentage of commission, that's going to be relevant because you've increased that. General admin overhead, and it will increase general admin overhead. It said it'll increase it, so it's relevant. If it stayed the same, it would not be relevant, but it's increasing it, and so it would be relevant. Hopefully you can see those X's okay. Line them up a little bit. Okay, case 2. Model B100 is the company's not the company's constraint, but management's considering replacing it with a new model. Potential savings in direct materials with new machine. B100 machine would be sold. The change would not affect the production, sales, some other savings in direct material due to less waste. So it says it's not going to affect it. If you go back to 550, oh sorry, it's probably not the same page for you. 515. So it's cut off a little bit, but you can see that they're going to buy a new machine, and it's not going to affect their production very much. It does affect their labor a little bit, and that's a change, and that's like a positive change because they are saving money in labor. So maybe a more automated machine. And then, but the cost of the machine is definitely a relevant cost because it costs them money, but everything else stays pretty constant. So this example, oh, and that might help you better, right? Everything else stays constant. Let's go back to the problem. Here we go, come on. So, relevant and not relevant. It said everything's going to stay the same except for direct materials with the new machine, and this B100 would be sold. So depreciation doesn't matter, book value doesn't matter, but this disposal value will matter because you could get money from selling the machine, which we didn't do before. No effect on production sales, but some other savings in direct material costs. So no change here, right? So not relevant. Direct materials is where the saving is happening, so it'd be like a positive saving if we're saving money. Direct labor didn't say that there was going to be much happening there. Variable overhead, no change if they're making the exact same number of products. Depreciation, no, not relevant. The only thing that's relevant, and remember it's just like we incur depreciation no matter what. The only thing that's going to be relevant is that disposal value, right? So these are all going to be a no, except for disposal value. And I don't know if I'm like in line. Oh, there you go. Book value and disposal value, because they could get money from the disposal. Definitely buying the new machine is going to be a cost to consider. Fixed manufacturing overhead. I don't think they said any of these are going to be, you know, changing. So if they're not changing, then they shouldn't be relevant. I'd say, you know, not relevant all the way down with the rest of these.